Your Partner in Success Radio is a free business podcast with host Denise Griffitts. It's all about great stories, conversation, and context to help you move your business and life forward with actionable tips and advice from her guest experts. To listen and subscribe, just find us on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you consume your podcasts.
Good morning and welcome to Your Partner in Success Radio. I am your host, Denise Griffitts, and my guest today, Nicole Conn, is a fearless storyteller and award-winning filmmaker and novelist whose powerful, emotionally rich work has moved audiences worldwide. With a decades-long career defined by raw honesty and authentic voices, her groundbreaking stories explore resilience, love, and the human spirit, continually inspiring and challenging audiences everywhere. So today we dive into the creative mind behind these unforgettable narratives. Nicole, welcome to the show. It is a pleasure to have you here. And your work as a filmmaker and storyteller has inspired so many, and I am genuinely eager to learn more about your creative journey, your approach to storytelling, and the lessons. These are important, the lessons you've gathered along the way. Can you share what first drew you to filmmaking and storytelling and how you began, I'm having
Began
struggles
the
today,
beginning of
your
time. Yes.
creative journey in this field?
Well, first of all, thanks so much, Denise. I'm thrilled to be here with you this early Monday morning while we're both trying to get our heads on straight. Um, I actually began storytelling in the third grade. I wrote a short story that my stepfather thought was really, really good. And so he decided to become my agent at that point in time, which was kind of a joke. But from that point forward, I really, really um, completely got consumed by storytelling. Whether it was watching, get this, I had a severe crush on Clark Gable and watched
Well,
every
who
movie
who didn't? My mom, my grandma, me.
yeah,
He's
I watched
gorgeous. He's
so
one of,
gorgeous.
seriously, the most beautiful man in the world.
Really, truly, isn't he? And
Yep.
so I would, set my alarm clock to watch the Late, Late, Late movie before there was, cable TV, and watched every single one of his films that I could find. And then I took the Sunday comics and I cut out the pictures and made my own stories with those pictures. So I was pretty much intent on storytelling from the beginning of time for myself.
I'm sorry. I'll have to cut
I
that
didn't
part.
know what happened. Did we
I
break?
don't know. It's the middle of, we just started hurricane season and things are
Oh,
going to get
that's why
wonky
yeah.
from, yeah, from here on out. And let's not forget Cary Grant.
Oh my God, Cary Grant, Jimmy,
I
all of
know.
them. Cary Grant, though, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely the most gorgeous man.
Yeah,
Errol
he
Flynn
really
was
was.
pretty gorgeous too.
I don't think I'm real familiar with his work, but the first two that we're talking about, oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll watch anything and everything by them. I've learned it my mother's knee, my grandmother's knee.
Exactly.
They had good taste
The
in
good
mail.
stuff. Back in the
Yeah,
day when things were shot in masters and stories were
right.
told with, imagination and just, I love old black and white film.
I do too, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not a TV person or really a movie person. Now, you hand me a book, I'll read the heck out of it. I'll read the back of a cereal box if that's all that's available. But I'm not really a movie watcher. I think because I am a highly committed introvert, and I was the oldest of too many kids, and that TV was always going, and I was always hiding
I
just
see.
to get somewhere where it was quiet and I could read. But that doesn't mean I don't understand the creative voice, and you definitely have a creative voice. So, how do you balance the roles of writer, director, and editor? How do you do all of that?
Well, it's really interesting. When I first started, of course, I'm autodidactic. I've never gone to film school or anything along those lines. And it's so funny because I had a few friends who went to film school and they proceeded to do absolutely nothing while I've, gone on to make 9 films now. And so it's sort of one of those things where the storytelling impulse is so strong that I was trying to figure out how to get stories out, but then because I love visual imagery so much, it was how do I do that? How do I become a filmmaker with literally no education? And so I went to every filmmaking seminar I could. I'd fly down to, I was in Portland, Oregon at the time. I'd fly down to LA to go to them. I went to everything they had in Portland because the film community was starting to really sort of simmer at that particular time in the 90s. And then I went to an LGBTQ film festival in Evergreen College campus. And I sat through, 12 hours of films for 3 days in a row, and completely, that was it. From the moment when I drove home Sunday night, the only thing I had in my mind was making people feel the way I felt in that theater. And that's what I set out to do. And by God, I ended up doing it. Sometimes I don't even know how I quite did it. But my first film, Claire of the Moon, I had my DP, Randy Sellers, taught me everything I knew about cameras, and basically said I knew better what I knew better what lenses to use for each shot than he did at the end. And my producer, Pam Curry, who's a dear, dear friend, also taught me right on, as I shot the film. When I saw the first cut of that film, I realized I wanted it cut different, and that's where the editing process became. So I sat in with the editor. I kind of sat on the editor to get every shot the way that I wanted to. And I discovered that editing film is really where it's at. It's where you tell the story, and it's where you take all of your mistakes and fix them, or you go reshoot if you can't fix them. And it allows me then as a director to know exactly what I need to shoot. I can sit there with a couple of scenes and know exactly where my what's called coverage, whether I'm on a two shot or a close up. I know all that from editing so quickly that I don't waste time on the film set anymore. So all of these sort of became interlooped, as it were, for me to understand where does the story truly live is in the editing process. And so I've edited every film I've done because that's where the storyline lives. Do I love editing? Yes, I do, but not nearly as much as I love directing. Directing is my single favorite endeavor, probably.
Now, is this usual for somebody to be directing and editing? And I just wrote this down while you were talking. It sounds to me like you went very heavy into your instincts and just did what you're meant to do. Too many people don't. They go, oh, yeah, sounds good. I ought to do this. Yeah. But then they don't because they scare themselves to death.
They do, and all you can do is in the creative process is take each day as it comes. People always ask me, what do I do if I'm blocked? And I'll be like, okay, if you're blocked, check, do this. Write a sentence a day. Write a sentence a day for a week, 10 days. Then write two sentences a day. And then write a paragraph a day. And then write a page a day. And you'll be surprised in 4 or 5 months, you'll have a mini manuscript. There's a lot of ways to get around being blocked. You can write on certain topics. You can go to anything you can go anywhere to find writing books and writing ideas and writing groups and all of those sorts of things. But what it really takes is not letting fear get in the way, sitting down and just enjoying what you're doing. Just embrace it. Let the fear go and move forward. And you'll be surprised at how much you're able to accomplish. I didn't set out to start editing, but I did it because that's where the story was. So wherever um, the story needs anything, I'm going to figure out how to make that happen. In fact, I'd like to just brag a little bit because I'm doing this also for my brain power because I'm 66 now. I taught myself all the special effects that I'm using in my latest piece, which is called Blue Love Dance, a cine romance, which means I have a love affair with everything cinematic, and it's shown in this piece. But I literally spent months and months learning the special effects because I wanted to make it look a specific way. And because of that, I was driven to learn all of those things and found at first I was overwhelmed. I will admit I was overwhelmed and I was a little fearful, but as I just took step by step, I realized how much fun it was. And I'm really, really excited about this project coming out in a few months from now.
And I'm listening to you, and you and I were talking briefly in the green room. Well, longer than
Yeah.
briefly
Yeah.
because we got to chat. I can't talk today. I seriously can't.
Honey,
Yesterday
me
was
neither. So we're good.
the opening season of hurricane season, and I'm telling you, this is the first year since Hurricane Katrina that I've been a little bit apprehensive, and I think it's bugging me in the back of my head. I need to get over
Sure,
it.
of
There's
course. My
nothing I can
God.
do about it.
I
So,
can't imagine not being completely PTSD every day where you live.
oh, normally it doesn't bother me because, the hurricanes come, they go, but when it starts niggling at well, you know this about
Yeah.
anything, when something's niggling the back of your head, you probably should pay attention to it. But I wanted to chat with you about And what you just said, when you're stuck, I get stuck all the time. You just build. You build upon
Yeah.
your success from yesterday, and you just
Hmm.
keep building, building, building. But what I'm hearing from you is that you're not going to let anything get in your way at all,
Nothing.
ever.
I used to a bit, but I've been pretty fearless all my life, which I feel like is an incredible gift from I'm not sure where, the ability to just sort of say, yeah, I can do this. I'm going to figure it out and not be afraid of the fact that it's too technical or it's too this or it's too that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done the 9 films or the 7 books or the television show that I'm really proud of coming out for love. So it's one of those things which is really, really just it's been a great, great gift, and I'm super grateful for it.
I hear that. What were you doing before you wandered down this path? Or wandered is not the right word. Before you threw yourself at a brick wall and demolished the wall. What were you doing before that?
Well, for a period of time, I was drinking too heavily,
Oh
and
no.
it was my sort of, I was the Lillian Hellman. It's like if you're a writer, you drink and smoke cigarettes, and that's how you get your books done and all that kind of thing. And I did that for a few years, and then I had to stop drinking altogether. And once I stopped drinking, I was able to look at everything with a fresh eye, of course, and I was working as a bookkeeper for a construction firm because my real father had done construction and I was very involved in that his business. So I was doing all the accounting and bookkeeping for this construction firm, and I was writing my novel in the mornings. I get up at 4, write 2 hours, go work out, and go to work. And I did that for several years. I wrote 2 novels that were horrible, horrible, and then I that about that point in time is when I went to that festival and decided I'm going to make film. And so I had a very unglamorous beginning with my accounting background, but um, it gave me the money I needed to
Right.
pursue what I'm doing.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Listen, people will ask me, how did you become a podcaster? I had to. Honestly, I'm a highly committed introvert. There are no pictures of me on the internet. There never have been. There never will be. I read 1984 when I was way too young to understand it. Scared the crap out of me. But I still am very, very introvert. I'm not shy and I don't have a single filter that I've ever come across. But I do need to be alone most of the time. And at some point, a friend of mine said, Denise, I want to interview you. And I said, okay. And she called me and we had a conversation. She said, is it okay if I record this? I said, sure. A couple days later, I get a link. I'm thinking, I wonder where it went. Did it go to ink? Where did it go? And I heard my own voice. And Nicole, I think I almost threw up on my own feet. I said, what? Because to me, I sound like I'm about to sing Happy Birthday, Mr. President. I sound
Oh, no,
ridiculous.
no,
Oh, yeah.
no, no, no. As
And
I
I,
said, you have a very, very sexy, alluring, with that alluring drawl. It's a very, very good voice.
see, I don't hear it, but thank you. So I called her and I said, what the hell was that? And she said, that was a podcast. I said, what the hell is a podcast? Excuse my language. I was distraught. I really was. And I listened to her and I went back and I listened again. And the next day, I was a podcaster like you. There was nobody to teach me a darn thing. I had to do it.
And good for you because you look at you now.
I know, but look at the people I get to, bring to the show. I get to know you. A lot of times we become long-term connections and friends. It's perfect for me. But
Yeah, I
again,
love your
nobody taught
committed.
me a
Is it,
darn
what did you say?
thing.
You're a committed introvert? Is that what you call yourself?
Highly, highly
I,
committed. I'm
yeah,
dead serious about it.
I'm a highly committed loner. I love
Yeah.
to be on my
Yeah.
own, and that's when I do all my work. I mean, I just love what I do so much that I'd rather just be me doing it than living with the outside world. Although I do have family and many friends, and I try to take care of them as much as I possibly can.
I think we're twins, seriously,
Yeah,
except I
truly,
can't.
right? We
I don't
understand
have.
that same. My mother's always like,
Right.
"Why? How can you live alone? Aren't you alone?" I'm like, "No,
No.
I'm not.
No, I've been married. I did my time. I'm not doing that again.
I've
But thank
been
you
I've
for
been there, done
asking.
that too."
Yeah, ain't gonna happen, hun, as we say in the deep South. So you started when you got out of, I'm dying to hear your whole story. So when you decided that you were going to start writing, what happened with the first 2 books? Did they go
One of them
anywhere?
became the outline for Passion Shadow, the first book that I had published from Simon Schuster. I ended up getting a 3-book deal from that Bad Lame book that I rewrote and rewrote, became my first book with Simon Schuster. And I was super, super thrilled with that, of course. In the 90s, it was easy to get an advance, to get book deals, and all those sorts of things. Today, it's a completely different story for writers, and I feel so bad for that because I got to have the opportunity of going on tour on Simon Schuster's, dollar, and I really, really uh, was thrilled for that. And the I had done the film Claire of the Moon, my first film first, and Claire of the Moon was the first lesbian themed film since Desert Hearts, which is one of the films I saw at the Evergreen College. And that film, while I found some things, I had some issues with things. I loved Helen Shaver in that film so much, and the feelings she evoked in her understanding of the fact that she became attracted to another woman. And I thought it was done really, really well for the most part. And so that's what I was, you know, setting out to do.
And you have another film, I believe, about your son. Is that right?
Yes, I have quite a few. Claire of the Moon was my first film. It became a cult classic. It's been released 10th anniversary, 20th anniversary, and right now we're in the process of trying to do its 35-year anniversary re-release by re-upresing the actual film that I shot in. Although after 35 years, the film isn't holding up, so I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do with all of that. But after Claire of the Moon, I came down to LA, and that's when I got my agent, got the 3-book deal with Simon Schuster, worked on those, and then I got I became married essentially to my first wife, Gwen, and we got pregnant with Gabrielle, our daughter, who's just turned 25. And after that, we got pregnant with my son, who is extremely special needs. He's a micro preemie. He's now 23, thank God. But the documentary I shot about him, Little Man, became a huge award-winning documentary. Showtime picked it up, ran an Emmy campaign on it. They aired it for 7 years, and I got a lot of critical acclaim from that because it was truly just me trying to show the honest, raw truth of what happens when you're in a NICU. And I happened to be shooting literally like a year before the HIPAA privacy laws were enacted. If they had been
Oh,
enacted, I would not have this film because
right.
I shot everything that happened in the NICU, things that you would never get away with shooting now. Them doing, surgical things on my son, them taking him off, weaning him off of his breathing vent. All of those things I was able to capture because the HIPAA privacy laws weren't enacted. And so when people saw it, they saw something that they couldn't possibly believe because as it was, he was just under a pound, 100 days
Oh,
literally exactly.
oh
He was
my
the size
gosh.
of a small frog, and you see all of the stuff in the Little Man documentary that he went through. And then on top of that, the second half of the film is when we come home and have to set up a hospital in our house to continue to take care of him and what that did to our family dynamic. And ultimately, it destroyed our family dynamic. My partner really could not handle all of the medical issues, the ongoing. For 5 years, he was in and out of the hospital. The first 5 years, he pretty much lived in a NICU or PICU, and so it became very, very stressful. Um, for me, it was I just became mama bear. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make my son live. And thank God, even though I feel now that he probably went through a lot more suffering than he probably should have, I'm thrilled to say at 23, even though he's nonverbal, he's still the coolest dude on the planet. He's got the sweetest energy there ever was, and he is just a big love. So that is what Little Man, the documentary, is about. And I didn't know what I was doing after that. I thought my filmmaking was probably done. And then my second partner, Marina Rice Bader, we did Elena Undone and A Perfect Ending together. And we did those films within 2 years. They played all the festivals. They got picked up. In fact, my distributor just called me to say Hulu's re-licensing A Perfect Ending and Elena Undone on Hulu. Once again, maybe it's third different licensing, I'm thinking. So those films have gone on to do really well.
Now, And you never really thought you were going to do these. You just kind of fell into them, didn't you?
Yes, well, my partner Marina Rice Bader said it to me at the time, why aren't there any good lesbian films besides Claire of the Moon? And I'm like, because women, I don't know why. There's just no money in it. There's not enough, and there is no money in it. So your listeners are aware. I have had my last four projects donor funded from my fans because there's no money in what I do anymore because it's too thin a slice of the pie. That's why I keep trying to market my films to everybody because they're really movies about the human spirit, about women's issues, dealt with in what I would call a very adult way. With usually everybody loves the chemistry of my actors. That's what I'm known for, and my love scenes. So I sort of, uh, found a niche that is specifically pretty much my own and have been able to, like I said, get donor funded projects, project after project.
Now, I have to ask you this, and this wasn't one of my questions, one of my original questions, but it seems to me, just listening to you, that you have a lot to teach. Do people come to you and say, show me, tell me how you do
All the
it?
time,
Okay.
people
Are
say,
you going to
ask me
start
these two
teaching?
questions. How do you
Right.
make a movie? And it's like,
That's a little broad.
I'm
So,
like, do you have a few years?
right.
It's essentially, I love to mentor and help other people because when I came to this town, everybody told me in the business and the straight film business, you only get one favor and you only get one ask. And I just decided to throw that out the window. Why do you only get one favor? I'll ask anybody. And when you ask people for help, they usually like to help you. So, I think I figured out a way to move in this town, which is counter to the way the town works. Partly by doing things so micro indie that I basically just am my own boss, my own. I'm really the only person who can fire me, and I'm the only person who can tell me what my film needs. So it comes with a great challenge and also a certain amount of responsibility to the film viewer. It's like my biggest thing always is to say to myself, what is the best thing for this film? Not what you like, Nicole, not that scene that you love and is too
Right.
precious, but what
Right.
is the best thing for this project? And I'm pretty good at defining that. And then no matter what I have to get rid of, I will do it. At the end, I usually hang on to what they call killing babies in the editing room. I hang on to them till the very end, but I always know in the back of my mind, kind of like you're having inklings of fear about, the weather. I always know in my mind, I'm going to at some point get rid of that, but it's too precious. I love it so much. I just have to watch it a few more times.
Well, let me ask you this. Anything that got left in the cutting room floor, I do know that term. I've heard it before. I'm so proud of myself. Can you do anything with those? Can you make
Oh,
a
yes, I have
compilation?
those. I have a lot of BTS that people have never seen of my films, and they love that. There's an Elena Dunn. It's about an hour and a half long. There's a perfect ending extras. They're more beautiful for
Ah,
Big and Broken, my last film. This Blue Love Dance that I'm doing is the making of my single favorite sequence over 35 years of filmmaking. And it's a love scene that's intercut with dance that was an idea I had in my head. And I didn't, and I went through literally 18 producers on that film because it took me 7 years to get it done. And when I'm talking about producers, I'm talking about people who are working for free for a producing credit, because that's the kind of budget that I work with, right?
we call those interns in the real world.
Right. And so 17 of them said, are you insane? That is the most ridiculous thing we've ever heard. And the 18th producer I had said, I love it. And so I shot it with a lot of safeties, knowing I could, drop it if I needed to, but it literally is my favorite sequence I've ever done. I'm so proud of this sequence. And that's
Now,
why I'm
what?
doing the making of, but it's also the making of More Beautiful for Having Been Broken, which
All right.
went through. The reason I changed the name to More Beautiful for Having Been Broken is because my sister committed suicide, my father
Oh,
died, and my brother was shot 8 times in the chest within a 20-month period while I was making this film. At which point, parts of me were just like, I just can't even function. I spent a year in an altered reality over my sister because she was also like my mother when I was growing up. So her loss was untenable for me. And the film was made, and after all of that happened and I edited it, I realized it was, everything was more beautiful for having been broken. My sister literally sort of saved my life with her suicide, which is very harsh to understand, but she made me take very seriously my own life and my relationship to my children and everything else. So yeah, it's all my film work has something to do with me personally, and I think that's one of the reasons it resonates so deeply for people is they can tell it's authentically real and it's coming from a core place in me that people can identify in their own lives.
And I believe you. Listen, I what you were just describing with the three tragedies, I lived through something like that. There came a point where I wouldn't answer the phone. My
Yeah,
attitude was if they're dead, they'll still be dead tomorrow. It's the only way I could deal with it.
I know. Like I said, I spent a year in a semi-altered reality over my sister. I can barely remember that year. So yeah, I get it
It's tough, but it does change you. And
completely.
people look at
Altered.
tragedies and like, oh my God, I can't survive. You just became stronger if you only allow it.
Yep.
And you became different. You're now more aware of what's really important. You're now more aware of where you can take yourself, pay attention. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're going to wallow. I did. But I mean, I wallowed a lot. But and like you, there's part of that couple of years that I just don't recall. And I know I made some really rotten decisions, but grief brain it's a real
Oh, grief
thing.
brain is, and
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's
a
so
real
crazy.
thing.
Yeah.
So don't make decisions while you're in grief brain. That's my my
Please
final
don't make
decision.
decisions.
Don't do
Exactly.
if it sounds like a good idea, no, don't do it. But and thank you for sharing that. It's difficult. I mean, you've gone through some really kind of difficult times, but look where you are now.
Yeah. And that's why I love that concept of things being more beautiful for having been broken, because I do feel like the world became more beautiful for me in many ways that because I just didn't have that awareness that happens when you go through that deep, deep, deep grief about the things that are truly important and those that are not. And
Yeah.
I can say that has helped me become the most zen that I've ever been in my lifetime, because I'm not going to sweat the small stuff. It's just, who cares? That's nothing, you know. It's the big stuff that you have to learn how to handle. And so I feel like it gives you a complete different perspective on, like, in the film business, there's just so much stupidity and ridiculousness. And I can see
Sorry, I
that
have to
now, and it's
laugh.
just like, oh, you guys are just laughable to me. So, it's sort of that situation.
Well, and once you go through things like this, and listen, everybody, we all go through something or several somethings. You're going to learn how to not be shallow pretty quickly if you're paying attention.
Yep, absolutely.
So let's go back to you're talking about dancing. You incorporate music and other artistic elements into your films. I'm fascinated by the dancing, but I really love music. How does that work? How do you do
Okay,
that?
so here's what I do, and I go through this in Blue Love Dance with the composer that I worked with, Nami Malamud, who now is doing Star Trek and all kinds of huge, like Marvel Studio comic scores. I find somebody who will let me sit on them, literally by note. I was
Oh,
raised by a classical pianist, my mother. And so my love for music was forged at I used to lay under her piano when I was like 4 or 5, listening to her play. And it became part of my DNA, is how I put it. Score to me is the soul of the film. And so it is one of the most critical pieces. And that's why um, I do what I say. I literally sit on a composer and say, no, go F sharp. No, 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 I want A minor here, blah, blah, blah. And so many composers love it because they feel like it gives them a true direction and makes them actually look better, I believe. And really, really feels like the right music for the films. Most people who respond to my films always love my scores, and I say that being without bragging. It's just such a part of the process for me, like editing. The music is so critical to tell the story in the right way, and to also to elicit feelings and emotions. Um, but yeah, I've been very, very happy with and proud of all the scores that I have, and that's the music piece, and it really stems from my mother. Um, and that's why I'm so thrilled that my book, Descending Thirds, which is dedicated to my mother and my son and my daughter, after 25 years, is being published this year.
And you just explained the leap from math, bookkeeping
Yeah.
to score.
Yep.
I was trying to
Yep.
figure out how you made that leap. You
Yep.
just
That's it.
explained it.
Yeah.
So,
That's
but
it.
yeah,
You
and that's,
explained it.
oh, I don't know, but I caught it. I was writing it down. Oh, math, bookkeeping. Oh, yeah. I was like, now I understand. Listen, was there any point where you just said, I shouldn't be doing this. I can't do this. I need to get a job. Was there any point where you just said, I've got to do something different? I'm willing to bet there wasn't, but
I
I'm
was just going to
still
say,
need to
Julie, there
ask.
was never a time when I said I need to go. Well, wait, that's not true. During my first bad divorce, which was very financially crippling for me, and I was taking care of my son completely on my own. Um, I had a moment where I called a friend who was a recruiter and I said, could you sort of show me the ropes about how you do this so I can do this part-time? And I did it one day and I was like, okay, nope, that's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. See, you don't want me in anybody's office. Seriously.
You do
I have
not
made
want me
sure.
anywhere trying to. Yeah, it's
I
like,
made sure long ago that I have a computer science degree. I build
oh my
websites. I'm
God.
a podcaster. When I got my degree, they said, "Okay, we want you to go interview over here." And I said, "Nope." And I walked out and I started my business that week.
Oh,
Look,
wow. I
I
love it.
don't play well with others. I run with scissors. And if you want coffee, you can get it your own darn self. Ain't gonna happen. I have to
Right?
work for myself.
Exactly. You may have to do a lot more, but at least it's on your terms.
That's exactly right. And I can work at 3 in the morning or
Yeah.
whenever I want to, whenever that creativity hits.
Oh my
Listen,
gosh. Yes.
I
I,
ran naked out of my shower one day and slipped across the kitchen tile floors, made it into my office and bought my first domain name.
oh my
A-
God. That is
And
hysterical.
and I'm hoping nobody saw me because my house is a lot of windows, but I didn't care. I needed to do it right then, right there.
Exactly. Well, I went through a very strange time, but it was perfect for me. I would get up at 2 in the morning and I would edit till noon. And that became my process for a lot of Blue Love Dance. It just was when creative my creative psyche was at
Right.
its fullest then, and I wasn't tired in the least. I loved it. I mean, I went to bed at 6 or 7 in the evening, but it was so much fun because there's nobody alive in the middle of the night. You know what I'm saying?
I
It's
am. Call
so
me. I'll be
quiet.
awake. I'm awake at 3:18 without fail. Call me. I'll be here.
Exactly. And it's like when I got some of my best work done because there's no interruptions. It's just completely silent, dark, and me and my editing system.
I do the same thing. Listen, and I'm wondering if you do this as well, because I will have, I'll hit a brick wall multiple times during the day. We all do. And at night, because I don't sleep a whole heck of a lot, to me, sleeping is cutting into my reading time. I resent it. I just don't sleep very well. But I will turn over to my subconscious literally for review when I think I'm actually going to go to sleep, maybe 11, it may be 1 in the morning. I never know. And I will literally look up at my ceiling fan. I say my quick little prayers. And I say everything out loud because I know somebody's listening. Somebody
Hmm.
is. And I will say, listen, I hit this snag today. I need some advice. And I'm asking my subconscious for
Hmm.
review. 3:18. I'm
Yep.
turning on the light and I'm writing it down.
Yep.
Or I go make a gumbo or both. So
Love it.
who
I love it.
knows? I've
But
been known to vacuum at
that's why
3:20.
this is the reason we have to be committed to our aloneness because
Oh
nobody in
yeah.
the world would be able to put up with us.
No, my cats don't even wake up anymore. They're like, oh, there she goes. Unless they hear me rattle something, then they're like, ooh, but that's it. I'm left alone. I can do whatever I need to do, and I am all happy.
Yep. Me
Yeah,
too.
I get it. So what current projects are you working on right now?
Well, Blue Love Dance is my piece that's going to be out in a few months, but March 15th, which is my son's birthday when he turned 23, my book Descending Thirds was published. And if you're a reader, I would love, love, love your feedback on this book, Denise, because
Mm.
it's a thing I'm probably the most proud of in terms of a conceptual project. Um, I started it 25 years ago, and my daughter had been born, was in gestation, I mean, and so I wrote a screenplay first for the outline of it, uh, getting ready to make it, to have it as a book that had an adaptation already for a film, and then wrote the novel. And way back in 1999, my manuscript went out and every agency wanted it. Everybody wanted it. I mean, I literally had the pick of the litter, and the gentleman I chose was the second in literary in William Morris in New York. And he said, "You're going to get seven figures for this or I'll eat my shoe." Neither of those events happened.
Oh, he didn't eat his shoe?
He didn't eat a shoe. No seven.
Aw.
Yeah. It took me forever to get this book published. I found a manager who loved, loved, loved it. And everybody who knows my body of work, when they read it, they think it's my best piece. So I'm thrilled that it's out there, but it's also very, very personal for me because it is connected to my mother, who basically gave me the love of classical music. And the book takes place in the classical music world as a backdrop from 1944 to 1975. But it's really a sweeping triangular epic romance, and also thematically explores what price, fame, glory, and all of that. What are you willing to do to get ahead? Not just in the music or film world or anything, but anywhere. What are you willing to do to get ahead? And so we see that play out in three different ways, with the three major characters.
And you just said something, what are you willing to do to get ahead? And I wrote down, what are you tolerating? Because that'll stop you all
Yes,
day,
very
every
good.
day,
Very good.
right?
Very nice. Yes.
Once you figure out what you're tolerating, you can sweep a lot of that stuff away.
Yeah. 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 I love that, Denise.
Oh, good, because I just made it up. So
Yeah. Well, jump out of that shower and go write it down.
I'm telling, oh, and when you're in the shower, because I take my showers hot enough to scald broccoli, really, I take bathtub crayons in there. Because like you said,
Oh.
it's quiet. There, the
Mhm.
phone's not ringing. Nobody's bothering. Nobody can. I just have cats and a dog. But still, they like to be where I am. And, one in particular is like, what are you doing in there, Mom? You okay? Oh, geez. Leave me alone. But that's when downloads seriously start happening. I'm relaxed. I don't care about
Mhm.
anything other than not scalding my neck,
Mhm.
which does happen. But all of a sudden, I start getting these downloads, and I can tell because we all have those internal voices. We're listening to ourselves. If I hear myself say, well, I'm going to do this, that's ego. I don't write it down. But if I hear we can do this, I'm like, okay, that's a download, a spiritual download. It's instinct. I don't know what it is. That gets written down. And once the fog clears, I go back in with my phone. I take pictures, and now I've got stuff to think about, to write
Yeah,
about. If
I
you're
love
stuck,
that.
go take a hot shower. Bathtub crayon.
Or
It
do
works.
there's another thing you can do, which is what I do. I am a freakish puzzler. I
Oh,
puzzling like there's no tomorrow. And basically, it is what helps me edit, because when you're putting pieces together, that's all you're really doing is putting pieces of the puzzle together in film as well. Any
right.
kind of storytelling is putting the pieces together in the most incredible way, to tell the story. And I have found that that is another way of thinking in a different, algorithm in your head, and allows me to work through a lot of things when you're talking about stuck, where I'm like, do I do this or do I do this creatively? And I found that that is a really amazing tool. Not to
That
mention,
does,
it
right. That
really
makes
helps your
sense.
brain for memory.
It does. It does. And I used to think that I was just A-brained, A-type personality. And was always on my logical brain. I don't know why it took me so long to realize that, yeah, I'm very logical, but I'm also
You're a computer
extremely
science
creative.
major, man.
Say it
Of
again.
course,
I
you're a
know.
computer science
I
major. Of course,
And
you're
when that's,
logical.
yeah, and I always thought, well, I'm not very interesting, but then I found out I'm intensely creative, Don't know
Yeah.
why it took me so long. I was a jeweler for a long time. I could tell you when something was a millimeter off. I can tell you if your diamond, what color it is. I didn't think I was creative, but I am. And once I figured that out, it all broke loose for me.
Mhm.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is find out who you really are
Yep.
and then go do it.
Yes. Because why else are we here?
Exactly.
You know,
That's
what else?
exactly right.
What, I mean, yes, we have our families and our kids to raise and all those sorts of things, but for the you self, the core self, why are you here? What is your purpose? What drives you? What gives you joy? What helps you be part of the human connection, even when you're a loner like you and I?
Oh yeah, I've been this way all of my life. I have to tell you, I was always a loner. And I don't think anybody knew what introverts really were, but I knew that I didn't need to be around people. I
Right.
don't dislike people, but I can only be around them for 59 and 3/4 minutes. I've timed it. So, but I remember in high school, I was walking down the hall and I had my nose in a book, which I always did. And this one, I think it was 11th grade, 12th grade, I don't even know. He was old enough to know better. And he hollered at me in the hall, "You're frigid." Well, he got my attention and I turned around and I looked at him. I didn't recognize him. Turns out we were in two classes together. I didn't know.
Oh my God.
So I know I just wasn't interested.
Right.
So I looked at him and we were close to the library. I said, "Come with me." And I took him to the library and I said, "Can you explain to this guy what the word frigid means?" He never spoke to me again. I don't know why, but he
Oh my God,
didn't.
that's so good.
It's like, don't call me names if you don't know what the heck you're saying. I didn't tolerate
Right.
it even then. So, but my point for that is I don't even tolerate it from myself. I have chats with myself. It's like, Denise, what did you just say to yourself? Take it back all
Hmm.
the time, all the time. And I think people who are creative are willing to say, that didn't work.
Oh yeah, we have to, or we won't succeed at all. I mean, we have to be able to be self-critical.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. And we can be. What advice? Oh, I'm looking at the clock. We've still got about 10, 15 minutes. So what advice would you give to someone who is starting out in filmmaking or storytelling or even writing a book because they seem to all run together?
Well, whatever you feel like is sort of igniting your passion is what you should follow. And depending on your personality, look, I'm autodidactic like yourself. Some people are not. Take the courses, go to filmmaking school, go to writing seminars, join a writers group, which was really, really effective for me back in my 20s when I was writing my bad novels. I went to writing groups where we'd share our stories and stuff along those lines. And that's also really helpful dealing with other people who are in the same world that you're in. I'm trying to write my first novel. How do you go about it? You're with four other people who are doing the same thing. Everybody requires the others in your world to help you, guide you along, to grant favors. Like I said, there's more. You can ask more than one question. You can ask for more than one favor. It doesn't, there, don't follow that rule, whatever you do. But also to take it in small increments if you're just starting out so that you don't get overwhelmed. Like I said, my constant refrain to those, how do I start? Very, very like a sentence a day, like I said, something that doesn't overwhelm and scare you until the point where it starts feeling more natural. And oh my gosh, now I like this. Oh my gosh, now I'm jumping out of the shower, running and slipping on my kitchen floor to write down this note.
Yeah,
Uh,
not one of my finest moments.
I love that. That is like one of the best. That is so the best. I love that, that you would
I'm
do that,
I'm surprised I didn't crack my head on the counter and
right?
die on the floor.
But
I
that's how
really do.
critical it was for you. That's what I
It
love.
was. It was. And you mentioned your book. Send it to me or I'll get Devin to send it to me.
Yeah, we
I'll
just
have
got the
it.
books in and Devin's going to be sending them out. I'll let you
Okay,
know right after
good.
this, but I would love you of all people, a reader. I would just love for you to read those so much.
Yeah, I will. And by the way, Devin, the Devin we're speaking of
Yeah,
is my friend and your friend. She's a PR agency in
the best.
Hollywood. She
She
is
is
the best.
awesome.
And I'll tell you, and I'm going to rat her out right here on the show.
Mhm.
She's the reason, Devin Blaine, Blaine Incorporated, is the reason that I have to podcast Mondays and Fridays because she keeps sending
Oh,
me people like you, and I used to just do Fridays.
Oh,
And
wow.
I couldn't keep pushing people out, 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 out. It was embarrassing. So I added Mondays, and I blame her. Ask her, she'll tell you. I
I,
blame her.
she's lovely because she's old time Hollywood to me, and it's the I was working with Joan Collins who put it
Oh,
perfectly.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Was working, and Joan Collins said, I don't understand why these Americans are so rude. They don't return phone calls at the end of the day. You must return every phone call by the end of the day. And that's Devin responds to every single email, no matter when, weekend, you name it. She responds within 20 minutes, I swear to God.
She
And
does. And I will
she's,
email her at 3:18, and pretty soon it's like,
I know.
hi.
But
Devin, go to
I'm a
bed.
huge fan of hers. She writes great press releases. She's an awesome cheerleader. She's been super, super lovely to work with. I can't rave enough. So we're both huge fans.
Yeah, she's a very dear friend of mine. Okay, I want to get out of your way because I feel like I'm just breaking in and offering up my stories, but I want your stories.
Well, for those who are listening who would like to see, I have um, films that are all available through Wolf Video or Vision Films. If you go to Nicole Conn Films Global, either on YouTube or NicoleConnFilmsGlobal.com, you will see all my product there. You will also see a television show called Coming Out for Love, which I'm super proud of because it's the first LGBTQ plus competition dating show, a la The Bachelor. And the reason I'm so proud of it is not because it's a reality show. The reason I'm proud of it is because of the contestants, the 16 young women that we have on the show who are from all walks of life, very, very diverse group of women who are multi-talented. And then I have 19 guest judges who are also multi-talented and wonderful. And I feel like it's a snapshot of our community in the 2020s that show who we are as a community in a way that the straight universe has never, ever seen us. That's why I'm so proud of the show because it became something that wasn't a reality show as much as it is. She does pick somebody at the end who she's going to walk off, into the sunset with. But the story about who we are and how we live in the world is in this show, and that's why I'm so proud of it. And that's also available at Nicole Conn Films Global or at comingoutforlove.com. And then Descending Thirds is the book that I was just talking about that I'm happy to have Devin send you a copy of. Um, is You will see a beautiful AI trailer, which is I'm very proud of because I love AI. I'm sure you do too.
Oh, I
Um,
do. I
and I
do.
found an AI artist who conceptualized my character so well. I was blown away. And then I edited all of his images to make the book trailer, and I'm thrilled with it. And that's at descendingthirds.com. And then lastly, but not leastly, is Blue Love Dance. A Center Romance is the story of the making of More Beautiful for Having Been Broken, but also my single favorite sequence in 35 years, the love scene intercut with the dance. It's never been done. It's a one of a kind. And again, I'm loving getting that piece out. So that will come out in a couple of months.
Excellent. You said something earlier too. I scribble a lot of notes and then I have to shove a 20-pound cat off the notepad to see what it was I was trying to find. But you mentioned something about restoring your oldest film.
Yes,
And
Claire's amazing.
right, right. And I saw something on LinkedIn this morning, which may or may not be helpful, but they're talking about taking old images that are just dry, cracked, brown, rotten, these images that you find in the garage. You're like, oh, geez, how do I restore this? There's a company that can do that very, very quickly. And I'm wondering if they can help you with your film as well.
I would love to have that
So,
information because
yeah, just
well,
right,
we've been working on this. We ended up having to spend $1,000 on an AI app that does that, but I'm not sure if it's the same one. And I'm looking for any way to help fix this film because
right.
it was gorgeous. It was shot gorgeously on 35 millimeter. That was one thing. I was so happy my first film actually was on 35 millimeter. All the way to when I did Little Man, I had 27 drives that were daisy chained together. And now you can put a film all on one drive. It's like I went
Right.
from through this
Or do it on your film.
technological, yeah, the
Do it on your phone
technological
rather.
advancements have massively affected filmmaking for the best, for especially for somebody who's an indie filmmaker who needs to do it all. Thank God for those things that have advanced us into OneDrive and all kinds of apps that you can find to do filmmaking editing.
Got it. I'll look that up and I'll send it to you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
I know what you're working on now. I know what's coming up, but looking ahead, what are your goals or your plans for the next project? What do you have coming
Well, I
up?
have a film that a lot of the casting directors were real excited about called Do We Not Grieve, which is a story about two women who, because of what I went through with my sister and everything, two women who end up going through severe, severe loss and end up in a healing therapy group together and discover as much as they can't stand each other, they're the only two people that can help each other heal for whatever reason, and they end up falling in love. And so that is a film I've been working on with my producing partners, as well as I'm planning on starting my memoirs, which is called Breathing Required, 1029 Cautionary Tales. Um,
That's
it's
all? Just 1,029? That's it? You don't
Well,
have
I
more?
thought about doing things in segments and working with AI to put it out into the world
All
in
right.
a way. So that's why one of the reasons I'm using the segmentation, because I'd love to do little AI snippets with each of the pieces that have taught me the world the way that I know it over, these 65 years that I've been on the planet, and all the things that I've been through. I've been through many, many lives, which has been been wonderful. I'm very, very grateful for all the different experiences I've had because they've made my life what it is. And I am truly one of the most grateful people on the planet. I cannot be more grateful for all the gifts that I have been given. I never take any of this for granted.
And your creativity is just amazing, and I'm so glad you're here to share it with us.
Thank you, Denise.
Or, oh, my pleasure. And I can't wait to read the book. So, Nicole, I've loved having you here and hearing about your creative process and your career highlights and even the sad stories, because they are what makes you. So, thank you for sharing your insights and your experiences. And I wish you all the best with
You
your
too,
upcoming
Denise.
projects. Thank you.
I love your whole everything. Okay, I'm sitting here. I've been watching for the last hour. Your still nerd and stilettos. I just love that. I love it so much. I love your creativity.
I have to tell you very quickly where that came from, and you'll appreciate this. Many years ago, I've been doing this show for 17 years. It's old enough to
Ah,
drop. I know. But many years ago, I had a gentleman come on the show, and about midway, he said, "Well, Denise, what is it that you do?" Nicole, I drew a blank. I went, because nobody ever asked me that. The show is about you, the guest. And I had to just wing it. And I said, "Well, I have a computer science degree that nobody cares about. I think in pictures. I'm a cat herder. I love stilettos, even though I never go out, but if I do, I've got the shoes. It looks like my closet at
oh my God, I
Nordstrom
love.
threw up in my closet. And I said, "Oh, and if I do go out, I'm wearing a, black cap, Ray-Bans, and my resting bitch face." I said, "I guess I'm a nerd in stilettos." And he
Perfect.
said, "Call me when this is over," which I always do. So I called him. He said, "Why have you not branded Denise Griffiths Nerd and Stilettos?" I said, "Because I just made it up." He said, "Brand it." Here's the
Yeah.
thing, Nicole. When the publicist for the Academy Awards tells you to do something, you do it.
Oh yeah,
So I thought you'd appreciate that story.
I do, but it's perfection. You know, every part of it is great.
And
So.
I do have a black cat and I do have black stilettos. So it's all good. But anyway, one more time, where can people find you online? I know you told us, but tell them again, and then
Uh,
I will reluctantly have to let you go.
Alrighty, NicoleConnFilmsGlobal.com is my website with all the information about all my films, everything about me. Nicole Conn Films Global on YouTube, and coming out for love.com and descendingthirds.com, where you can see my book trailer that we're so proud of.
Got it, and thank you. Well, listen, everybody. Today on Your Partner in Success Radio, Nicole Conn shares insights into her creative process and how she's done it, and her journey across filmmaking, theater, and television, highlighting the challenges and the triumphs that she's experienced throughout her career. And she is very much known for her authentic storytelling and multifaceted talents as a writer, director, and editor. And she offered in this show valuable advice for aspiring creators and discusses what continues to inspire her work today. So whether you are a filmmaker, a writer, a creative enthusiast, or just a reader like I am, tune in to discover how her passion and perseverance shaped her powerful storytelling. Excuse me, now I'm losing my voice. And describe to stay updated on Nicole's latest projects and creative ventures. Nicole, thank you so much. It has been a genuine pleasure. And I feel like in some ways we're twin sisters. I don't
We
know.
are.
We
We're
seem to know
we're
each
sisters from
other.
another mother.
There you go. Another state, everything. That happens. Devin always puts the right people in front of me. So thank you.
Thank you. I really, really enjoyed this so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And I'll let you know when the book lands.
Okie dokes. Sounds good.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get your voice heard. If you would like to launch your own far-reaching podcast, contact Denise Griffitts at yourofficeontheweb.com and go to the podcast tab.